All right, so I am live, and not exactly what we had planned to do, but we're going to make do as we can. So you have to give me a second here, resetting my studio. I had to change my camera angle and that type of thing. But here's what I want to ask you to do right now is to go ahead, and if you're watching this, let me know that you can see me. That'd be great. But then also, go ahead and share this on your timeline. Let other people know, hey, this is where we've moved. And what we'll plan to do is we got a lot of other pieces of the service set to go this morning. We will post those after this. So what you'll be able to do is you can watch this live, and we'll get to the sermon here in a couple of minutes. And then after that, we will have the music posted, and then some of the announcements and all of that. We'll post those as separate videos in a little bit. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to get in here because I know people are kind of looking around trying to find the service. Not exactly sure what the problem was this morning. My guess is that probably we're dealing with Facebook overload. As more and more churches are starting to do the Facebook Live thing, I think that we may be looking at some overload. So we'll talk about it this week, and as much as I love being able to do this live with you, we may have to go to a fully recorded service that we can just post at one time, and we can put it then on YouTube and Facebook and lots of other places. But we will figure it out. So we'll get that going here in a little bit. Glad to see a lot of you coming into the room. The upside of this is that I can see all of your comments as you're coming on, and I can welcome you. So glad to see you all here. We're still going to give people time because we know a lot of people are trying to find their way in. And so I'll run through announcements, but right now I'm going to stop for just a minute because I didn't get a chance to get my last cup of coffee. So I'm going to get my coffee here while people are coming in. And unfortunately, the downside of this is when you do Facebook Live from your phone, you have to do it in the vertical setting. But when we use our Switcher Studio, which is what we normally use on Sunday mornings, I can actually do the horizontal. And so you can see here I had all these slides ready to go for you this morning, and I was actually going to be able to stand here and you'd still be able to see me. Now I know right now you're kind of looking at my better side, but I'm going to stay on screen as much as I can, and so you can see my not so pretty face. But we're still getting people in. I've got notes coming into me from some different places, so it looks like we're doing all right here. We've got a lot of people here. Glad to have you all here. There's lots of... Ray asks if there's the bandwidth. We don't know exactly what the problem was this morning, so we'll figure it out. Our tests and stats all said that what we were putting out was okay, but you know, you never know with this kind of thing. So welcome everybody to the Gathering Live Sunday morning. Not at all what we had planned. For those of you who are coming in and have come in a little bit later, this is not the anticipated plan, but what we're going to do is we'll do the sermon here in a couple minutes, and I'll preach through what I had planned to say, and then after that we'll post the rest of the service. So we had music and announcements and all of that, and so we'll get that all set to go, and hopefully as soon as I'm done here, we can post that as video right on our Facebook Live page. So I know I'm saying this, and the guys who are responsible to get that done are just hearing it for the first time. So that's Matt and John and Steve. I see you guys. I think most of you guys are in the room now. We'll just plan to post the rest of the service after this video, and so when I'm finished, we can post it on, and that way you can go back and you can watch the music and the announcements and everything else that was part of the sermon. So looks like we got a good number of people back into the room. I'm going to switch over here so I can control my slides. And like I said, I apologize. I'm going to have to step a little bit off here so you can see some of these. That wasn't the plan this morning, but we roll with the punches, right? And so here we are, and we're going to have a fantastic time this morning. Good to see you all. Some of you said hi to me, and I'll say hi back to you, even though I can't say hi to everybody who has, but I'm glad to see you here. And I'm going to be really honest with you. Mary Ann and I were talking about this morning, that I am really looking forward to being able to see your faces on a Sunday morning. This just is not my thing right here. My preaching style is much more of having a conversation, and I feel like on Sunday mornings, you're right there, and even though you might not be talking back to me, you do with your faces, and I can kind of talk to you, and I really miss that. So we'll get back to that as soon as we can. I want you to know we are closely monitoring all of the different discussions about when things will restart and when that will be. And our plan is as soon as possible to be able to restart in some form. And we don't know what that's going to look like right now. We'll find out probably a lot more this week about what that's going to look like. And as soon as we have more information and are able to put together a plan, we will let you know about that and keep you updated. And we'll be communicating as much as possible with you on all of those things. In the meantime, we have on our church website, so that's at thegatheringdayton.com, a COVID-19 response page. And if you go to our home page, it's right at the top in the menu. It says COVID-19 response. I think Steve will be able to post a link to that page here shortly. And there are two options at that page. The first is an option to help you know where you can serve. So if you're looking for places and opportunities to serve right now during this time, how can you help out in the Dayton area? We have several opportunities listed there that you can be a part of. And so I encourage you to check that out. Of course, one of the ways that you can help others is through giving. And you know that you can go to our church website and click on the link that says give, and there you can go. There's two options where you can give. Option number one is our regular general fund. That's what we use to keep things running and keep things operating. And then secondly, we have what's called a benevolent fund. That is set up specifically for right now, for people who are in need, so we can reach out and help them. So if you want to give to that, you can do that as well. And I also know that many of you have been leaving things at our drop-off area. So at the church, at the main entrance in the back, you can drop off anything you have there that's non-perishable. So canned food, box food, some kind of box food. If you have toilet paper or paper towels and you want to donate, we're just leaving them there. Nobody's managing it. Nobody's governing it. And if you need something, that's a place you can go. If there's anything there that you need, I want you to feel free to go and take it. It's there for you. So if you have a little extra, give a little extra. And if you need a little extra, I want you to feel really comfortable taking a little extra. Okay, let me grab a quick drink here. Remember several years ago, right after the State of the Union address, Marco Rubio was doing the follow-up, and he had that moment that's kind of an epic moment where he just stopped his speech and reached over and grabbed the water bottle and did that. I feel like I might do that a couple times this morning because I'm maybe not hydrated enough, so you'll just have to forgive me. We're all in this together, right? And you get to sit in your homes and eat your breakfast and drink your coffee, and here I am having to do all of the talking. Another part of the COVID-19 response page is our financial resources page. So this is a time when there's some people who are maybe struggling and didn't expect to be. The job maybe has shut down for a while, or you've lost it and you don't know what to do. Money is tight. Lots of good resources at that page for financial help. Also, and Pastor Steve will talk about this later on one of the videos we post when we're done. Pastor Steve's going to be leading a online group, and they're going to be working through one of Andy Stanley's studies on finances. And so that's a great opportunity for you. If you want to be part of that, Steve will have a link, and he'll probably post that in the comments here eventually so you can see it, to be part of a group. It's a 4-week study, and it's really just general financial principles. So if this whole thing that we're going through has kind of brought to mind that maybe you want to shore up some of that stuff, this would be a great chance to do that. Well, this Sunday we're starting a new sermon series, and I'm going to introduce that series to you in a little bit. I hope that we'll actually be able to finish this series live in person. That's what I'm hoping for, that by the time we're done with the series, we'll all be back together, and we'll see how that goes. But today we're starting a new series, and I want to start by talking about this idea of rhythm, okay? And here's what I want to suggest to you, that God has built rhythm into nature, okay? God has built rhythm into nature. So if you think about the sun rises and the sun sets every day. And so there's a rhythm to that. Now, I know that really is caused by the spinning of the earth. But you know, the earth spins at a constant rate. It's kind of like a metronome, right? It's got a rhythm to it that it just keeps spinning and spinning at the same speed. And while the earth is spinning, it's also rotating around the sun over and over and again at the same speed every year. And that gives us another rhythm that we have called seasons, right? Winter, spring, summer, fall. These are some of the rhythms that are in nature. We've created measurement for these rhythms. We call them years, months, weeks, days, minutes, hours. These are how we measure the rhythms in nature. We also have rhythms in our own bodies, though, right? Let's breathe for a second, okay? We're going to start inhale, exhale. This may be a good exercise for you to do at home anyways, because it can be a little bit calming. But this is one of those rhythms that's a part of our body, is our breathing, that we inhale and we exhale. If you only inhale and never exhale, you'll stop breathing. And if you only exhale and never inhale, you'll pass out. So we need to have this rhythm in our breathing. Our heartbeat is another rhythm, isn't it? That as our heart beats, it's sending blood out and bringing blood back, and that's what keeps us alive. It keeps our bodies moving. Again, these are the rhythms that God has built into nature. And sometimes when these rhythms get disrupted, that can be a bad thing, right? If your heart starts beating irregularly, that's a bad thing. If your breathing starts to become irregular, that can be a bad thing. And so we get really nervous when we have some of our rhythms in life get disrupted, don't we? And right now, it kind of feels like maybe we're living in a time when our rhythm has been disrupted. So I don't know what your daily life rhythm might be. Maybe it's getting up and going to work and coming home and, hanging out or exercising or whatever your rhythm is. I'm guessing that during this time, your rhythm has been disrupted. For the kids, you go to school every day and you have recess and you have lunch, and maybe after school you have sports that you're a part of, or you're in the drama team, or you're in the marching band, and all of this that's been a part of your rhythm, it's all been disrupted. And sometimes when our rhythm gets disrupted, we can get frustrated, can't we? Because it's difficult to not be able to live by the rhythm that we're used to. Remember our comeback series that we just finished up? We talked about the people of Israel that lived in Jerusalem specifically. They had a rhythm that got disrupted, right? I'm guessing their daily rhythm, even though it was thousands of years ago, was fairly similar to ours. They had jobs and they worked, and they had families that they took care of, and they ate together, and they had friends, and they went and they would hang out with their friends. The kids went to school. They worked out in the fields. They had rhythms in their life too. But as we saw in our study, those rhythms all got disrupted because Babylon came and destroyed their city and carried them off, and they had to go live in a different place where they had to learn all new rhythms. And for them, it may have felt like this disruption of rhythm was a bad thing. Just like I'm guessing for you, you struggle with this disruption of your life's rhythm. Is this a good thing, or is this a bad thing? Well, to those people whose rhythm had been disrupted, the prophet Isaiah gave a message. It was a message from God to them. And I actually think it's a message that's just as applicable to us today in this time when our rhythm has been disrupted. This is from Isaiah 43. This is what Isaiah says. He says, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, and you are mine." Fear not, I have redeemed you. See, these words right here. These are the key words for people who are dealing with a disrupted rhythm. Fear not, God has redeemed you. And just as those words were comforting to the people of Israel, they can be comforting to us today. And they're a reminder to us that in times of disruption, in times of confusion and chaos and uncertainty, there is a choice that we must make. We can choose to be angry and sad and stressed and depressed, or we can choose to lean into the tension and learn a powerful lesson. So what's your choice going to be? Here you are, your rhythm's been disrupted. There's some uncertainty, there's some confusion. Life isn't what it used to be. Is this going to be an opportunity for you to learn a powerful lesson, or are you going to allow this disruption to get you sad and angry and stressed and depressed? Well, Isaiah didn't stop here, okay? He kept going in Isaiah chapter 43, and I want you to see down the road a few verses later, he said this. He said, remember not the former things, all right? He said, I don't want you to focus on everything that's gone wrong. Hey, Israel, remember how bad it was when Babylon destroyed your city? Don't think about that. And that, for us, it's the same thing. No matter how bad yesterday was, don't live there. No matter how bad last week was, or last month, or last year, no matter how bad the past was, don't live there. Because that's not the end of the story. This quarantine that we're in, this lockdown, shelter in place, whatever we call it, this isn't the end. The coronavirus and whatever else comes as a result of it, this isn't the end, and so we ought not live here, and specifically we ought not live here because God has a different plan. Isaiah said this, remember not the former things, because I am doing a new thing. God says, I'm doing a new thing. And we know, looking back in history, that part of that new thing is Jesus. But I want you to hear all of the words Isaiah wrote. Listen to this. He said, remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, whatever it is. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. You know, you might feel right now like you're living in the wilderness, right? You may feel right now that you're living in the desert. Now, remember what he's referencing here is he's actually talking about when Israel, thousands of years earlier, were in the desert. They were in the wilderness. They were wandering around, and Moses was leading them, and they had nothing to drink. And God said to Moses, Moses, I want you to go, and I want you to hit that rock. And Moses took his staff, his stick, and he whacked it, and out of the rock comes what? Water, rivers of life for the people who were parched. This is what God does. God does new things. God provides for us even in the wilderness, even in the desert, even in the quarantine. So in this disruption of your rhythm, you have an opportunity to experience something new. Very shortly, you're going to have the chance to restart your life. Okay? And it's going to look different. And it's your choice how it looks different. Have you been thinking about this? How do you want your life to look different once you restart? I want to use the rest of our time this morning to just give you 3 simple statements that can maybe guide your thinking as you consider how you want to restart your life when all of this is done. All right? So 3 quick statements. Here's the first one. The whole consists of all the parts. Now, how many of you have been eating pizza during this time, right? Because you want to support local businesses, and pizza gets delivered and it's easy. And if there's not food, you order a pizza. Probably a lot of you have been eating pizza, and pizza is great. And here's just a really simple truth for you. If you take one piece away from the pizza, the whole pizza is not there anymore. And I know you're saying, well, duh, David, that's kind of obvious. Yeah, it is. But it's a really powerful truth for us if we want to think about this idea of change in our life. Okay? Think about a building. A building has a foundation, and it has walls, and it has floors, and it has a ceiling, and it has roof, it has electrical systems, it has plumbing systems, it has all of this, all of these parts. And when they all come together, you have a whole building. But if you take some of them away, you no longer have a whole. The same is true of like a team, a sports team. You can have some really good players, but if you don't have all the parts you need, you don't have a whole team. I know many of you remember the 1990 World Series, right? 1990, the best team in baseball is the Oakland A's, so everybody thinks, because they have the best players. They've got these guys, Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire, who it seems like they hit home runs almost every other at bat. And they're playing in the World Series against who? The Cincinnati Reds. And everybody says the A's are going to win because they've got these amazing players over there. But what happened? 1990, the Cincinnati Reds win 4 games and the Oakland A's win 0 games. Why? Because Cincinnati had the better team. They put all the parts together. Oakland had some great parts, but the parts weren't good enough to make a whole. Now, the same thing is true in a church, right? So here in our church, we say that our mission is to connect more people to Jesus, right? That's what we say. Now, if some of our ministries don't have that same mission, then we have to say, is this really our mission, right? So if the mission of our worship team isn't to connect more people to Jesus, is that really the mission of our church? If the mission of our student ministries isn't to connect more students to Jesus, is that really the mission of our church? You see, our whole mission is really made up of all the different parts. If our hosts team mission isn't to make more or to connect more people to Jesus, then is that really the mission of our church? And in fact, we can go down another step, can't we? And say, well, what about the people? Well, if the people of our church don't have as one of their life missions to connect more people to Jesus, is that really the mission of our church? You see, the whole consists of the parts. And that leads me to the second statement I want to share with you today, is that your whole life consists of all your habits. All right? Your whole life consists of all of your habits. Think about this for a second. Who you are is a result of what you do. So what did you do last year? Whatever you did last year, that makes you who you are. And what you did last year was made up of what you did every day, right? 365 days. That's how many days you had. And every day, whatever you did that day makes you who you are. And every day is made up of 24 hours. And what you do with each of those hours makes you who you are. And each of those hours is made up of 60 minutes. And what you do with those 60 minutes, each one of those minutes, that makes you who you are. And each one of those minutes is made up of 60 seconds. And what you do in every second makes you who you are. You see, who you are is the result of what you do. And so your habits, they really make you into who you are. Now for this series, I want us to think of habits as a bigger thing. So your habits are your life's rhythm, right? Your habits are the routines. Everything that you do, those are your habits. That's what you do. And they make you who you are. So whatever it is that you're watching on Netflix, that makes you who you are. Whoever it is that you're hanging out with, that makes you who you are. Whatever it is that you're reading, that makes you who you are. Whatever websites you visit, that makes you who you are. You've heard the expression, you are what you eat, right? That's absolutely true. You are what you eat. And it's more than that, too. You also are what you think. And you are what you say. And you are where you go. And you are what you watch. And you are what you listen to. And you are what you read. Who you are is a result of what you do. And so your whole life, just like one pizza is made up of all the parts, your whole life consists of all your habits. So here's what that means for us. This is the third statement. Changed habits lead to a changed life. Changed habits lead to a changed life. So a little bit ago, we talked about this idea of changing your life, right? At the end of all of this, and we have a restart, how do you want to be different? What do you want to change about your life? The way that you change that, if you want to change your life, you change your habits, right? So how are you going to change your habits? Well, let me share with you what our next sermon series is going to be. Our next sermon series is called 7 Habits of Highly Connected Christians. All right, I stole the title. I'll gladly admit that. One of my favorite books in the world is 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, written by Stephen Covey. One of my favorite books. I think it's great, and so I stole the title because I think it powerfully tells us what I want to talk about. We want to be connected Christians, right? That is who we want to be. We want to be Christians who are connected to God through Jesus, right? It's Jesus, his life, his death, his resurrection, his sacrifice on our behalf. He gives us new life and makes it possible for us to be adopted by our Heavenly Father. And so we want to be connected to God through Jesus. We want to be connected to each other by Jesus, right? So by following him, as I follow Jesus and as you follow Jesus, and we both get closer to Jesus, the result of that is we both get closer to each other. Okay? That's what it means to be connected to one another by Jesus. And we also want to be Christians who are connected to the world for Jesus. Because our desire is to represent him to the world, so that through us, he will be made known. We brighten the world of everyone around us by showing them Jesus' love. And so we want to be a church that's full of highly connected Christians. So for the next 7 weeks, we're going to talk about 7 habits that empower us to do that. Now listen, I am not going to ask you to change your life, okay? I'm not asking you to change everything about you. We're going to really focus in on just 7 what I would call keystone habits. And a keystone habit is simply a small change that you make to your life's rhythm that has unanticipated effect on your whole life. You know, for example, exercise can be a keystone habit. When you start to exercise, you probably do so because you want to be in better shape. But the truth is that by exercising, you have a lot of unanticipated results in your life. Because as you exercise, what you discover is that you actually have more energy as you go through the day. And as you exercise, what you discover is that you make better decisions because you have more energy. And you're able to perform better at work. You can be more successful, more productive, all because you started one small keystone habit. We're going to look at 7 keystone habits. And I believe that if you can adopt these 7 keystone habits, you're going to discover that you can be more effectively connected to God, more effectively connected to each other, and more effectively connected to the world around you. So I'm excited about this study. Guys, the restart is coming. Now, we don't know exactly when it's going to happen or what it's going to look like. I don't know when you're going to go back to work or back to school or back to some new kind of semblance of routine, but it is coming. And when it does, I hope that we can be people who are different, people who are exhibiting the new life that Jesus gave us. So let me give you 3 questions that you can be answering right now, okay? I want you to be thinking about these 3 questions as you get ready for the restart. Here's the first question. What are you learning about what is important? My guess is all of us have been thinking about this, and it's been on our mind as we realize what's really important in life. Maybe you're discovering that some of the things that you thought were really important aren't important at all. And you're also discovering that some of the things that maybe you neglected in life are actually the most important things in life. Sometimes when our routine and our rhythm gets disrupted, it helps us to focus on what's really important. So that's the first question I want you to be asking yourself is what am I learning about what is important? Here's the second question. What do you want to change about your life rhythm? Right? Your life rhythm is the sum of all of your habits. And so some of those habits are creating an unhealthy rhythm in your life. And now is the time for you to start thinking about which of those habits am I going to start changing so that when the restart comes, I am ready to be the person I want to be. I'm ready to be the person that God created me to be. I'm ready to be the person that looks like Jesus. So what do I want to change in my rhythm? Maybe it's time, how you spend your time. Maybe it's where you invest your energy. Maybe it's some of the relationships that you need to value more, and maybe some of the relationships you need to value less. Maybe it's your comfort or your entertainment. I don't know what it is, but what are some of the things in your life rhythm that you want to change? And here's the third question. How? Okay? So I know it's important. I know what I want to change. How? What am I going to do to change that? Let me finish up here with some encouragement for you, okay? God is doing a new thing. That's what he does. God does new things, and God is doing a new thing right now. In this time of disruption and uncertainty and discomfort, he is doing a new thing. God has already done a new thing in your life, right? He gave you Jesus. He gave you new life. And because he's done a new thing for you, now he is doing a new thing in you. He's changing you from the inside out through the work of the Holy Spirit, through the power of his word. He's doing something new in you. God's done something new for you. He's doing something new in you so that he can do something new through you. Because that's what he wants to do. He wants to work through you to make more newness in his world. All right? Here's the great thing. We don't have to rely on our own power to do this. Okay? We only have to participate because he's the one that makes all things new. And if we're willing to participate in that, if we're willing to be a part of that with him, then he will not only continue to do a new thing in us, he will start to do a new thing through us for the world. Let me close this in prayer, and then after I pray, I'll just say a couple more things, and we'll be done. All right, let's pray. Father, I want to thank you so much for all the good that you've done. Father, thank you for the new thing that you're doing here. And although we can't see all of the fruit of it yet, we're still in this moment of tension and uncertainty. But we trust you that you know what you're doing and that you are going to bring something new and better and amazing out of this. And we look forward to that. Father, I pray for my friends today as they evaluate their lives and ask themselves what is really important. And as they look at themselves and ask, what do I need to change in my life rhythm and how do I do that? I pray that you would give them great wisdom, great insight. Help them to talk to each other about this and to lean on the counsel of those they trust. And Father, thank you most of all for Jesus, that he was willing to come and make us new, that he was willing to come and do for us what we couldn't do for ourselves so that we can be like him and that we can be adopted by you. Father, thank you so much for your love. Thank you for your grace and your mercy and your kindness. In your name, amen. Well, guys, thank you for being part of the gathering this morning. I know the service was a little unexpectedly complicated, but that happens sometimes, and we're good now. So just a reminder, when we're done here, as quickly as possible, we'll have the other parts of the service posted for you. So you can enjoy some of the music that was prepared for you today. Pastor Steve will have a couple of announcements and a connection moment, and I encourage you to watch that because it's always good to connect, and he's doing a great job of bringing people together so that you can still see each other during the week. So that'll all be posted as quickly as possible after I'm done. Remember, this week, our evening prayer at 7 o'clock will start to be in the gathering prayer room. So that's kind of a more private setting where we can share some more requests, and so I'd love to have you join us there. If you're not a part of the prayer room, get into it right now, and that way you can be a part of those at 7 o'clock. Wednesday night, I am going to be doing a live Q&A time, and this is kind of like an open forum. Anything you want to ask, you throw it out there. I may not be able to answer all the questions on Wednesday night, but we're going to plan to do this every Wednesday night for the foreseeable future. So if you have some questions, it can be about the Bible, it can be about theology, it can be about philosophy, it can be about history, it can be about the life, whatever you want. I'll tell you right now, if you ask me science questions, you are going to get unsatisfactory answers because I'm terrible at science. But anything else goes. You can put questions in the comments right now. You'll have another chance Monday and a chance Wednesday to also ask questions right here on Facebook Live. And then Wednesday at 7, we'll be doing that live Q&A. Lots of other stuff going on here on Facebook during the week. We have some new things we're going to do this week. I'm still doing my morning Bible study, 9 o'clock every morning. We're working our way through the book of James. And so if you want to be a part of that, right here on our Facebook page at 9, we'd love to have you here. Remember, you can go to our COVID-19 response page where you can learn how you can give, how you can serve. If you're a regular giver at the gathering, you can still do that online. But also, please don't forget about our benevolent fund where we're helping each other through this difficult time. Guys, thanks again for being here. Thank you for being flexible with us as we ran through some technical difficulties. I'm going to go back when I'm done here and read back through all of the comments and see what you said. I always get an enjoyment out of that. It's a great way for me to hear from you when we don't have connection cards. We'll be back here again for our regular Sunday service next Sunday. You'll hear from me by email this week, maybe once or twice. But thank you again for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Let me send you out with a blessing, all right? I want you to remember that your Heavenly Father loves you more than you have ever been loved, and He is filling your life with grace and mercy and hope and love and joy and peace so that you will overflow. And even in this time of uncertainty, when you don't know what's going to happen next, you can drink in what He's giving you. And so that you brighten the world of everyone around you by giving them the same grace, mercy, kindness, forgiveness, love, joy, hope, and peace that God has given you. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you again soon. God bless you all.